Good morning. Today I'm going to speak about the article Teaching English as a Foreign Language Through Literature. So, speaking about language input, we have to remember that children's literature offers an alternative for language acquisition. Thus, we can improve the language input through the use of conversations, listening to a reading, or telling a story. Qualities of children's literature. The following steps are essential for selecting attractive children's literature. Number one is the protagonist. The protagonist must be a child with an issue that really concerns children. However, in many readings, you can find one or two main characters. These characters are real to life and believable. The main character is about the age of the reader, although not always like in folk tales. We must have a straightforward storyline. Speaking about the plot must be convincing. It must be about significant truths about human experiences, and during the plot, we can find an introduction, a goal, a problem, a conflict, and as a result, a resolution. The descriptions are telling, speaking about the insights, are at least accurate and maybe even wise. The setting is a simple setting. Speaking about books of young and adults, I have to tell you that this kind of literature has complex language. And speaking about children's literature, we must have to say that children's literature must have concrete language or precise vocabulary. And speaking about the quality, we must say that children's literature and adults or young literature have the same quality. Now we are going to speak about comprehensive input. Okay, we have language acquisition and language learning. Both are so different, but both are necessary. So, speaking about language acquisition, we have to say that it's a process that occurs naturally. It must be an interesting process and understood. And for that reason, students acquire a second language because they are exposed to a comprehensive input, which is listening or reading the target language. Now, the language acquisition process focuses on comprehension of the language. And for that reason, the rules of grammar are first intuitively acquired through meaningful language, and then it can be formally learned through the practice in listening comprehension. Now, speaking about language learning, we have to say that focuses on the rules of grammar and which produce a correct speech. Early foreign language scholars. Now I'm going to speak about Marcus Fabius Quintilian's methodology. Okay, this guy used to say that the rules for teaching Latin as a foreign language were, number one, read aloud Aesop fables. Okay, ask the students to retell the fable in their own words. He also said that students were able to write fables. And number three, students listen to poetry and then paraphrase into a prose. His contribution to modern language instruction is the correctness. Correctness is derived from the usage of education. Now, Desiderius Erasmus. Okay, this guy used to follow Quintilian's methodology. Erasmus gave to the language learning 4 points that are the cornerstones of modern language teaching. Rule number one. Rules of usage are derived from an examination of the actual language as it is spoken. The rules of grammar should be taught only after they have been acquired intuitively by reading or other means. He says that all grammar rules must have examples, and he says that we have to include pictures that illustrate the new material, okay? Okay, now I'm going to speak about Moravian Bishop Johannes Amos Comedius. Okay, this guy used to follow Quintilian's methodology. He used to say that first the child acquired the language by hearing and reading, and then by learning the rules of grammar. He believed that the experiences in the foreign language should draw upon a student's background knowledge. He advocated using controlled vocabulary, and he differed with his contemporaries by urging teachers to present not only just one meaning, but also multiple common meanings, okay? And he also supported the use of pictures. Okay, it says application of literature. Okay, illustrated books can be used in productive activities like the following. Okay, the first activity is chair reading. As you notice in the picture, the teacher is going to use a big book. The idea is that you are going to discuss the cover, the initial illustrations, and then you are going to ask for predictions. Remember, you don't have to overtax the listeners, okay? The idea of this activity is that your students are going to gain vocabulary, and also they are going to gain insights. And they are going to know different themes, okay? Remember that you as a teacher, you must use a relaxed voice, okay? Okay, the second activity is reading in pairs. The idea of this activity is that students are going to develop their self-confidence. They are going to enhance the pronunciation, and this kind of activities will let them to share their insights about the reading, okay? Now, I'm going to speak first about the echo or shadow activity. This activity is when two or more people share the reading of a text. The main point is to create an echo or shadow activity, which means that the students have to read aloud along with the teachers, okay? This helps with the pronunciation and phrasing. Therefore, the idea is avoid stopping at each unfamiliar word. After this activity, students have to summarize an entire paragraph in their own words after one reading, okay? Now, speaking about follow-up activities is when the teacher reads one sentence immediately followed by the students. So that means that first the teacher have to read and then the students, okay? The teacher should reread the paragraph aloud before continue to the text, okay? This facilitates a review of the paragraph before moving to the next, okay? This encourages the more Okay, the second activity is reading in pairs. The idea of reading in pairs is that students are going to develop their self-confidence, they are going to enhance pronunciation, and they are going to share their insights about the reading, okay? We have two different kinds of activities, echo or shadow activity or follow-up activities. So, echo or shadow activity is when two or more people share the reading of a text. The main point is to create an echo or shadow activity, which means that the students have to read aloud along with the teacher. This helps with the pronunciation and phrasing. Therefore, the idea is avoid stopping at each unfamiliar word. After this activity, students have to summarize the entire paragraph in their own words, okay? And now speaking about follow-up activities, we have to say that it is when the teachers read one sentence immediately followed by the student, okay? So the students are going to read the same sentence, okay? The teacher should reread the paragraph aloud before continuing to the next, okay? This facilitates a review of the paragraph before moving on, okay? Encourage the more advantaged learners to give general translation for the less advantaged learners. This will produce that the advantaged students transmit their knowledge to their classmates, and at the same time, the teacher is taking advantage of the knowledge of the advantaged students. In this kind of activity, you also can use an audio tape. This is going to be useful. And it is often helpful to construct a chart of events that take place in the story, okay? Okay, the third activity is independent reading, okay? Remember that with independent reading, students can develop their critical thinking because sometimes they have to look for main points, for characters, for supporting details, comparing and contrasting details too. And remember that when we let them choose what they really want to read, we have to give them readings based on their level, okay? And also, there are two ways to structure independent reading that maximize language development. Number one is provide a few questions for the reader to answer at periodic intervals through the text, okay? And number two, use variation of think aloud protocol, okay? Okay, now we have one pager. What is that? Okay, this consists of a creative response that is limited to one page, okay, which includes that a student have to choose one picture or visual element that represents the main point of the reading, okay? Then they have to choose two quotes from the reading that really catch their attention, and they have to choose one reflected statement from the reader or related quote from another source, and at the end they have to include one personal comment from the reader, okay? The idea of using one pager will produce a productive class, okay? This activity will develop the critical thinking of the students due to the activity will ask for specific details, okay? Now we are going to speak about drama. There are three forms of drama, okay? Okay, drama number one is going to be story theater, okay? There is an audience, okay? Teachers reads aloud the story and students have to pantomime the action. There isn't a set, so they can do it in the classroom, and characters are assigned by the teacher, okay? Now we are going to speak about creative drama, okay? This story is without narration, okay? The story is conveyed by action and dialogue, and children, they have to improvise, okay? Now we are going to speak about the role play. The role play drama, okay? It is recommended for socio-cultural approach as students overcome miscommunication problems using the target language, okay? Okay, readers theater, okay? Players read a script, so they convey their characters through their voices, so that means that they have to be very convincing. And players must read with expressions and energy, okay? This is all my presentation. Thank you very much. I hope you like it, okay?